Apple sure made a lot of announcements last week. Some awesome and some kinda underwhelming. However, if you draw some connections, the future for Apple may just become clear. Let's go through the event first. First, Apple introduced iOS and iPadOS. I thought the features were cool, if a little underwhelming. After all, my favorite thing that I've actually started using this year is the iPad. I hope they add widgets to the home screen layout for iPad 2, and I can't wait to try Scribble. The messages stuff was neat, but I don't see myself using them that often. I don't have a lot of group messages or anything like that. Next, as everybody calls it, Big Sur, or macOS 11. I thought that these features were really neat. I loved how they added a little bit of opacity, if you don't mind me using some photographer speak, or I guess designer speak. And it's going to be a great thing for new users, especially if they've used iPhone or iPad before. It'll lessen the learning curve. Next were some smaller stuff like watchOS 7, where you can share complications, which is kind of cool, and AirPods, which have some really interesting features. The ability to switch from device to device depending on which one you're using at the time, and the spatial audio for AirPods Pro, which I think is just awesome. I also think that it can lead to more down the line, but I'll talk more about that later. Oh yeah, I nearly forgot. Apple Watch can now track dance as an exercise, which means it can track your entire body now. If not accurately, then somewhat. Now, let's get to the meat and potatoes of this video. I told you that I had an idea about what Apple's hiding in the future. Let's look into that, shall we? Just to be clear, I don't know if any of these features will make it into the product that I'm about to talk about. But I think it's a good possibility, just based off of how these features are appearing right on its heels, as it were. Of course, I'm talking about Apple Glass. I am super excited for Apple Glass, even though I'm kind of bummed that it won't have a camera, because that means it won't have any zoom modes. And that's one of my favorite things. There's this app that's made by CyberEyes, which is really neat. It turns AR glasses into a visual impaired friendly set of AR glasses. Apple, what is your plan on accessibility? I'm curious. If you do want to test them, I'm willing to. I can sign an NDA. But anyway, let's just get into how the features that I mentioned before got into the Apple Watch. So let's envision a scenario, shall we? You're using finger gestures and you're using Siri to communicate with a friend over iMessage. At one point you decide, you know, this really deserves a full-length comment. So you switch to your iPad or your Mac and you start tapping on either the physical or larger keyboard on there, and voila, via the magic of Continuum, and or whatever Apple calls that, and the new feature for the AirPods that may transfer over, where it will automatically detect what device you're using, that message just pops up and you're able to type on it as if you hadn't left. Now let's imagine you're playing an AR game, an action one with lots of dodges and swings. Well, now that the Apple Watch can detect your movement, possibly accurately, you won't have to worry about missing that crucial dodge. I think that this would be a really neat idea for Apple Glass. Finally, if Apple Glass can connect to multiple devices or separate devices, having a more refined and more central user layout, like what they did with Mac Big Sur, will allow users to transition comfortably no matter what they're using, what window they have open, or anything of that kind. So, what do you guys think Apple Glass will be able to do? What do you think you'll use it for? Again, as I've told you guys multiple times on this channel, I am not a UI designer or a software engineer or anything of the kind. I have no experience in that. But based on these features, and I may be drawing the wrong conclusions here, but I think this is a possibility. Regardless, I'd love to know what you guys think, and thank you guys so much for waiting. I know it's been a really long time since I've uploaded on this channel. Anyway, have a good one.